Well, hey guys, welcome back, and I hope you're having a better week than Disney is so far, because let me tell you, their Q3 earnings call is coming in, and the results are not looking so good. So that Park Place has this all pretty well broken down. WDW Pro has been covering this all morning, and the long and the short of it is not being able to answer any of the questions that the investors have. A lot of the shareholders want to know what the hell's going on, and the reality is, after the stock market opened, Disney stock dropped more than 3%. Now, it's kind of stabilized a little bit. You'll see here in a second. The stock has definitely gone back up. It's down $1.84 today. Okay, so it's trying to recover here. But the reality is, this is a stock that if you go back 5 days, a month, 6 months, you have to go back to a full year to see it higher than it is right now. And it's only $1.37 higher this time last year than it is now. You're talking about a stock that has seen a rapid decline over the last 5 years of $50.37. And it should be going up, 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 up. I mean, look, the reality is the stock market is in decline. We all know that. There's a lot of volatility with the election and everything else coming up. But the reality is this is a company that has spent billions of dollars to acquire Marvel, Lucasfilm, Pixar, all these different studios with all their different independent properties, thinking that they could create this new modern audience for Indiana Jones, for Willow, for Star Wars. But the reality is this modern audience hasn't materialized. And what they have done is they've chased off their core fan base. The parks aren't making as much money. And remember, a lot of what Disney relies on isn't their entertainment. It's not their movies or their streaming shows. Disney Plus has not made them a dime. It's been a financial drain. What they rely on is people traveling to Disney World, Disneyland, going and actually taking their families and their kids and buying merchandise there and spending the whole day there. These things are not happening as much as they used to because of inflation and cost of increased goods and the cost of travel increasing. So now what you have is essentially a sinking ship where they have shoveled out so much money that they just cannot stem the bleeding at this point. Before we go on, just a quick word from Meta PCs. If you're in the market for a new gaming PC or even just an office PC, something that you can use at home, they have got tons of custom and pre-built PCs. All top-of-the-line parts made here in the US, and of course, the US-based customer service. So if you have any questions, any concerns, you can contact them directly here in the United States. So a lot of this goes back to the fact that they've put all this money into Lucasfilm, Marvel, Pixar, a lot of these things that are finally, once in a while, like, for example, I think Inside Out 2 made them $1 billion. Okay, sorry, didn't make them $1 billion. It had like $1 billion box office. How much they keep of that, anybody's guess. You could save maybe about $300 million in profit. That's a good margin. That's a good amount of money. But things like Star Wars, where every one of their sequel trilogy movies came out, and year after year, these movies have made less and less money. I think The Force Awakens was like $1.4 billion. By the time they got to Rise of Skywalker, it didn't even hit $900 million, I believe. I'm pretty sure it was like 800 something million. So again, this is a IP, and this is a studio in decline, primarily due to the fact that its leadership fails to understand how to market to its target audience. Remember, this is where Kathleen Kennedy, Leslie Headland, Amanda Stenberg, everybody involved with The Acolyte, the most recent Disney Plus show, has gone out of their way to attack the fans, label them as bigots and racists if they don't like their show. And of course, this has failed miserably. This is a terrible approach to take, especially when you're trying to garner some sort of support from your main audience you have. And this show has dropped completely off the Nielsen ratings. I'm talking week after week, less and less people tuned in. It didn't even crack the top 10 on the Nielsen ratings, which is absolutely deplorable. It's terrible. I mean, there's no excuse for this. This is Star Wars, probably the strongest franchise in cinema, in movie history, because of the fact that it had such marketing potential for, toy sales and everything else. And honest to God, if you look at like the current audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, it's finally back up to 17% after spending weeks or even months, it feels like, down in the low teens, hovering around 13 to 14%. And this is apparently the best that Lucasfilm has to offer. Well, of course, this leads to the question, how is Kathleen Kennedy, the head of Lucasfilm, still there? What skeletons does somebody at Disney have in the closet? What dirt does she have on Bob Iger? How does she have so much control at Disney, at Lucasfilm, that nobody will actually tell her, hey, it's time for you to go? Well, there's some new insight into that, and that Park Place has an article talking about the reality that might be she just doesn't want to leave until she has a win. So guys, you better buckle in because we could be here for a long time. I'm almost thinking if we could get some sort of coordinated fan effort, if they put out some wretched Star Wars movie, but if we all go see it, maybe she'll finally leave. Like, if we give her one successful film, she'll go away for good. But this article says Kathleen Kennedy ready to retire, but is waiting for a win, according to Entertainment Analyst. Apparently, she has something in common with much of the Star Wars fanbase. She wants Kathleen Kennedy to leave Lucasfilm as well. But according to Film Threat's Chris Gore, who's pretty reputable, if I do say so myself, she's only willing to walk out the door under one condition. Namely, she wants to leave on the heels of a massive critical and commercial success. That's something Lucasfilm hasn't experienced in quite some time. I think it's something we can all agree on. Whether or not you like the sequel trilogy, whether or not you like any or all of the Star Wars Disney Plus shows, a lot of them have not been financially successful. That's just a reality. Since Disney's initial acquisition of Lucasfilm in 2012, the company has been under the direction of film industry veteran Kathleen Kennedy. Back then, the longtime George Lucas and Steven Spielberg associate promised George she would take care of his life's work. She has done anything but. Under Kennedy, the Star Wars franchise has gone from the most evergreen IP of all time to a sour note punching bag for YouTubers and streamers the world over. Kennedy presided over the deeply unpopular Star Wars sequel trilogy, which saw the deconstruction and eventual death of Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. Yeah, I mean, this is something that I think a lot of people, especially because I got through the first movie and I'm like, okay, that was, Force Awakens was all right. It was like a Disney rehash of the original A New Hope, but there wasn't anything of substance added to it. So from Chris Gore, you have this statement here saying, we've been hearing lately that Kathleen Kennedy is not very hands-on with Star Wars at this point. Hollywood scooper WW Pro said to Chris Gore on a recent episode of his livestream YouTube show, are you hearing anything similar that she may be operating in title only, at least for now? Gore then confirmed that he was hearing similar rumblings before dropping a bit more information. She wants to retire and leave, Gore said, but she wants to do that on a win. Gore went on to say that in order for her to leave, Kathleen Kennedy wants a huge success that she can ride into retirement. This could be a smash hit television show or a major box office victory with a theatrical release. In other words, she wants to go out on a high note like George Costanza on Seinfeld. She's waiting to go out on a big win and she hasn't had one. And this woman is 71 years old. I can't even imagine how much energy or effort she has left, how much she... Think about it this way. If you were this hated by a fan base of an IP, of an industry, a franchise that you're in charge of, would you want to stick around at 71 years old? She's got plenty of money. You got to remember, she was involved in the original Star Wars trilogy. She's been around with Lucasfilm and other things for a long time. Her and her husband have been massively, knee-deep in Hollywood going back decades. So she doesn't need this gig. She doesn't need to stick around. She doesn't need to have all the abuse hurled at her and all the mean words online tweeted at her and all the YouTubers blaming her. I mean, look, we all do it all the time because it's the fact, it's the reality. She doesn't need to stick around and put up with it. She could just say, screw you guys, take her money and leave. I mean, she's got FU money. I think a lot of people forget about this. It's not about the money with her. It is completely her ego and pride that has kept her around this long, where she refuses to leave until she crams some of her modern Star Wars down everybody's throat, and they all agree that it tastes like, I don't know, freaking truffles or some shit like that. I mean, the reality is, even if you look at their recent game coming out, Star Wars Outlaws has so much controversy around it, given the fact that it just looks like more of the same modern rehashing, modern reimagining of Star Wars for a new modern audience. And there isn't an audience for it. There is no market for it. But I'm going to leave it right there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this. Do you think that this is true? I mean, I think Chris Gore was probably spot on. I think he's right on the money. I just don't know how much longer her or any of the rest of us can put up with this. I mean, Star Wars has been badly broken to the point where everyone agrees it's pretty much dead at this point. And I don't know how much more I've got in me to even care. But let me know what you think about all this, guys. Check out Meta PCs, and I will catch you later. All right, and if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for being here. I do have two channels, Minimal Effort Podcast, as well as my gaming channel. I do have a Twitch and Kick for my gaming channel. We do live streams over there occasionally, maybe once a week. And then if you are in the market for a new PC, make sure to check out Meta PCs. Click the link I have down below. Use code TBO at checkout for a special discount. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.